Today, we're diving into a topic that might not be making daily headlines, but is certainly sending shockwaves through the global economy. You might be asking, why should I care about Yemen's issues? How does it impact me? Well, buckle up, because the connections might surprise you. Yemen sits at crucial crossroads, controlling the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, a major waterway connecting the Red Sea to the Gulf of Aden. Any disruptions here would literally affect the shipping routes of vital goods, like oil. So, this group in Yemen, called the Houthis, is getting support from Iran. They're not happy with what's happening between Israel and Hamas, even though they're quite far away. Now, the Houthis decided to mess with ships in the Red Sea, saying they're going after anything tied to Israel. The problem is, figuring out if a ship is Israeli isn't straightforward, because ships have all sorts of connections worldwide. In November 2023, the Houthis started attacking ships like the Galaxy Leader, grabbing it and taking it to their port in Yemen. More attacks followed, and they're not doing it alone. Iran's backing them up with missiles, drones, and intel. These attacks are causing a headache for global trade. Unlike old-school pirates, the Houthis, thanks to Iran, have become a major threat, disrupting the world economy with their strategic location. Yemen might not be a top oil producer, but its proximity to key oil transit routes adds a layer of vulnerability to the global oil market. Any disruption in the region can send shockwaves through oil prices, impacting everything from transportation costs to the price of goods on your supermarket shelves. Beyond economics, Yemen is fighting with a severe humanitarian crisis. The global community's response, or lack thereof, has consequences. Unstable regions can be breeding grounds for extreme consequences, which poses risks to global security. So in a way, the fate of Yemen is intertwined with the stability of the entire world. This, coupled with the impact on global shipping, contributes to a worldwide increase in food prices. So, that extra dollar you're shelling out for your groceries, Yemen's crisis might have something to do with it. How did it all begin? Yemen has historically been among the MENA region's poorest nations, and has previously been experiencing one of the greatest humanitarian catastrophes. Since the beginning of 2015, war has decimated the country's economy, produced significant food insecurity, apart from destroying vital infrastructure. In 2023, the United Nations predicted that 24 million people would be at risk of starvation and sickness, and that 14 million would urgently require help. The UN first mediated a ceasefire in April 2022, and after it was triple extended by the parties to the conflict, fighting reached its lowest point in 8 years. However, the truce ran out of steam in October 2022, thereby leaving the nation in danger. Additionally, the parties to the war continue to obstruct humanitarian access, earning Yemen the maximal possible ACAPS rating for these restrictions. Although oil and gas reserves are Yemen's main sources of income, they're also the main reason for regional and global strife. Due to the country's estimated 11 billion barrels of oil reserves spread across the Shabwa, Marib, and Sayan Masila oil basins, oil production made up 70% of the general budgetary resources before the start of the war. Production fell from 150,000 to 200,000 barrels per day before the crisis started in 2014, to 55,000 barrels per day due to Saudi Arabia's and its allies' military engagement in the conflict. Foreign oil firms are present in Yemen, making the government dependent on them and mostly on Saudi Arabia during the previous few decades. The Houthis warned shipping and oil corporations to halt operations because they were sick of the plunder of sovereign riches. With the help from Iran, Houthis launched attacks on various export terminals in the Arabian Sea in the east of the country after the ceasefire stopped on October 2nd, 2022. According to Yemen's permanent representative to the UN, Abdullah al-Saadi, the country has lost about $1 billion due to the cessation of oil exports to pay salaries and improve public services, which has disastrous effect on the populace and prompted the government to call for international pressure by destroying the Houthis' infrastructure and essential facilities. Not just that, the Ukraine conflict has made Yemen's economic crisis worse. The fact about 23% of households live paycheck to paycheck shows the structural effects of a protracted battle. Additionally, since 2016, The 1.2 million public employees in the nation have received irregular or no pay, and it has led to a decrease in crucial public functions. Food and fuel have become expensive due to currency fluctuations and tight supply. The Yemeni rial has been having decrease in value to historic lows in 2024, despite various reforms by the government made to stabilise the currency, thus leading to shocking increase in food costs. Disruption in trades, shortages in fuel supply, and reduced aid for philanthropists have further contributed to the rapid decline of economic conditions. Fragile economic conditions have been destroyed by escalating violence and more macroeconomic policy. There was already an enormous humanitarian crisis, but it was made worse by COVID-19, which left many Yemenis dependent on aid and remittances. These crises were brought on by a simple conflict, but the disruption of critical services and rising fuel and food costs have been worsened by distortions caused by several institutions and varying regulations across control lines. Yemen's people have had a terrible impact. About 18 million individuals in Yemen lack access to clean water and proper sanitation. Due to food instability and starvation, 16.2 million people need urgent emergency assistance. As a result, Yemen has had to deal with ongoing cases of diseases, including cholera, diphtheria, measles, and dengue fever. The Yemenis also experienced inflationary pressure in 2018 and 2019. Waves of currency depreciations also occurred in 2017. The disruption in the economy and financial services and infrastructure has further impacted operations in private sectors. Over 40% of Yemeni households are now finding it challenging to purchase even the barest amount of food, and many of these homes have lost their main source of income. Before the crisis, about half of Yemen's 29 million people lived in poverty, with women being at the greatest risk. The likelihood of economic growth in 2024 and beyond will be largely dependent on how quickly the political and security situation improves, which will enable Yemen to reconstruct its economy and social system. At the start of Ramadan in April 2022, the UN declared a 2-month ceasefire. Following talks facilitated by the Gulf Cooperation Council in Riyadh, Yemen's President Abdurrahman Mansour Hadi delegated power to a Presidential Leadership Council (PLC). In addition to $3 billion economic package, the United Arab Emirates and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia also offered $300 million in humanitarian aid. The financial package can assist in reducing price inflation, stabilising the exchange rate, and covering the external account deficit. However, such one-time windfalls do not negate the necessity of fundamental reforms. At the moment, Yemen is using economic tactics to sustain the conflict, making it harder to achieve a lasting peace. As you know, the roots of this conflict go back to events like the 1994 Civil War and the 2011 uprising, all fueled by economic grievances like unfair resource distribution, unemployment, and land rights violations. Fast forward to today, and Yemen has essentially developed 2 separate economies, one in the north and one in the south. This has led to issues like double tariffs, different currency values, and disputes over oil revenues, all putting immense pressure on the people of Yemen. One major problem is the exploitation of international humanitarian aid. Both sides in the conflict are interfering with aid distribution for their economic gain, further worsening the situation for ordinary citizens. The conflict has also given rise to what's called an extraction economy, where the wealth of the population is being drained by high tariffs and skyrocketing prices of essential goods. This is contributing to a growing gap between the rich and poor. Looking ahead, the war economy is not just sustaining the conflict, but also causing structural changes in Yemen's economic systems. The longer this goes on, the less likely there is to be a peaceful resolution. The future appears bleak, marked by prolonged conflict, worsening poverty, and economic devastation. To address this, the international community needs to step in. Pressure should be applied on the warring parties to unify economic systems, resolve disputes, ensure transparent oversight of humanitarian aid, and bridge economic disparities. A comprehensive peace agreement is the first step, paving the way for a post-conflict economic recovery plan. In essence, tackling the economic roots of the conflict is crucial for bringing hope and a brighter future to Yemen and its people. And there you have it, folks. Yemen, often overlooked as a silent force shaping the world's economic landscape. Stay informed, stay engaged, and let's keep unravelling the stories that impact us all. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more eye-opening insights. Until next time, signing off.